What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 2 for 2, your sports podcast for the culture, by the voices of the culture. I'm your host, Keith, and I'm back with my brother, Nell, man. We coming off a Houston Bender, Temple Time, fantastic weekend, but we here live in the flesh, and we're going to get it popping for you guys, man. It's season 4, episode 34. Let's get it. Nell, my dog, good to see you again, man. It's been like 2 days.
Yes, sir, brother.
Feels like
Great
so
time
long.
seeing you this past weekend. 2 for 2. Had the whole crew out there.
Yes, we did.
Good
Great
vibes.
time.
Good vibes. Great wedding.
Fantastic vibes. Shout out to
Temp.
TJ. Mm-hmm.
Former guest on the pod before.
Absolutely. You'll hear him almost draft time. So he'll be on here again real soon. Me and Nell out in Houston this weekend. Great time, great people, great vibes. So we're here. And this might be my favorite episode ever. It hasn't even started. And y'all know exactly why. Because we have to put a bow on the college basketball season, and this year's bow gets to be maize and blue. Now, my Michigan stuff was lost in the shuffle.
Doesn't look like a celebration over there.
I celebrated plenty. I got my Michigan Rose Bowl shirt over here. I had my quarter zip on last week. I had a bucket hat. I told Nell I folded and messed that up. So instead I got a little maize and blue. See? Try to force it. It'll do. But wow, let's talk about it, brother. The national championship game, both men and women's seasons obviously have come to a close. On the men's side, Michigan pulling off a victory against Dan Hurley's UConn Huskies, a score of 69-63. On the women's side, I mean, Nell nailed it. He nailed it, right? He called the Final Four perfectly. He called the South Carolina upset. Oh, I guess you can't call it upset. South Carolina knocking off UConn, had Gino pissed.
The way you was talking,
there.
it feels like I called an upset.
I mean, that's fine. I'll give you that. Called an upset because I didn't believe it, even though I did say publicly that I was upset that I went out on record and went against Auntie Dawn like that. I'll never ever do it again in my life. But then I had Texas girls beating UCLA, trying to get their get back. I didn't realize at the time that had been UCLA's only loss, too. Hadn't done my research.
Didn't know that either, but...
Yeah, that was their only loss.
Like I said, Lauren had to get herself on.
Yeah, so Lauren Betts goes
too great
up
to
there,
leave without one.
Knocks him off, gets into... the championship game, and we know what happened. 79-51 victory. Not even close. But wow.
BTA.
That's the reaction to that one, right? Like, I don't think anybody expected it to be that type of game, right? To see the South Carolina team and be completely overmatched. But you say Lauren Betts deserved to get one prior to going out. Did you see the video I sent you and Walt with her brother, 7'3"?
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's another one, people. There's another one. But on the men's side, though, man, let's talk about it. Dusty May, Yaxel Landenborg hobbled, but we pulled it off, man. What was your reaction to the game before I tell you all the great, joyous things you've already heard me say for the last however many months that's been?
Reaction to the game should have been Duke. That was my reaction, honestly. But, shout out to Michigan, getting the job done. A lot of talk about whether, they could do it this year, comparing them in the Fab Five. Well, they got that. They got the job done. They can say that. They banner's gonna go up, and that's etched in history for them. So, give them a ton of credit. They were locked in defensively. It was a pretty close game in the first half, but it really felt like was a final score of 69-63. It was a 6-point game, but it felt like Michigan was up 15 pretty much the entire game. Every time UConn, give credit to UConn because they came out, they played hard. They knocked down some shots to keep them in it. Caravan and Mullins knocked down some key threes late to make it close, but at the end of the day, Michigan always had an answer for any run that UConn was on. Only making 2 threes. I mean, they just kind of dominated physically in the paint. You talked all season about their size, and even going against Arizona, the team everyone talked about, their interior front line, and Michigan made them look like little boys. So you kind of knew that was just going to be a mismatch. UConn down low. Johnson, those guys committed the glass inside. But like I said, UConn they tried hard. It wasn't even though, like I said, it felt like Michigan was up 15 the entire game, but UConn they kept fighting back. Had 22 offensive rebounds, knocked down 8 threes. Like they tried as much as they could, but yeah, Michigan was just too much, making plays at both ends of the floor. And like I said, biggest play of the game was that that fast break layup that when they could have cut it to 4, and then Michigan comes down and hits their second 3 of the game. They were 1 of 14 from 3 before that, and then on that
McKinney
5-point swing. On that 5-point swing, they hit the dagger 3, just their second of the game. So, just like I said, team had a lot of transfers coming in, guys from other squads, and they bought in this year, and they got it done. Forgot what their record was last year, but I mean, from what they were last year to national champions this year, dominant season, 37-3. Got to give credit where credit's due.
Hey, man. I appreciate that coming from you. I didn't get that from many people. I know you didn't do that for me, but it's still good to hear. It's still, you did?
You got to hear it, though. I didn't do it for you. No.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah. No. In Dusty, we trust, dog. I mean, you just said it. Second year here, a guy that's hasn't won a championship, but, the runs that he had with that FAU roster, taking them deep in the tournament multiple times. Winning 30-plus games multiple times. It felt like it was only right that this happened. I hate that it had to, my boy Juwan had to go for this to happen for me, man. 37 years since the last title. Obviously, Juwan Howard being a member of the Fab Five. I got to give him some credit, though, too, for being a great sport. I mean, he's been locked in with the team. He was on the little the alternate broadcast they did with the Fab Five during the Final Four game. Really, really cool. But, yeah, I said it all year, man. This is the best team in the country. About the first few games of the season, we had some close ones with some solid teams early, but then we got to the Players There tournament, and that's when we go on that run of beating people by 30 and 40 and 30 and 40, and it's one of those things. That's when people start talking like, we've never seen this, right? And it really puzzled me coming into the tournament that so many people went from that talk about Michigan to the talk about Michigan being one of the top, the first one seeds to leave, right? To lose. A lot of people had it being Duke. A lot of other people had it being Arizona. Other team. I mean, and rightfully so. Like, those are the other two really good teams. But, this Michigan team was, dominant year round. You talked about the defensive end. You talked about the size mismatch, right? But, you don't talk about the system, right? Like, Dusty May really built a system that maximized his players' strengths and really mitigated the weaknesses, right? You watched that game against UConn, like you said, it felt like they were up more than they were. It never really felt like it was just out of Michigan's control. I think a lot of my anxiety was coming from the faith and what we know of Dan Hurley to be, right? Like, still, I think I got to give him credit. He ran the best set I've seen in basketball for the last 5 years, probably. I say 5 years because that's when I'll say, like, I really started watching basketball with the intent to kind of delve into what they're running and everything. But, fantastic coach over there. And so those guys were ready to play. But, I mean, you look at what Dusty May did with his roster. Elliot Cadeau, a UNC cast-off, right? Shot, almost, I think it was like 29% or something last year from 3. This year wins most outstanding player of the tournament, right? You got Adai Mara, who at 7'3" came over from Spain, sat on Mick Cronin's bench at UCLA, right? Marez Johnson, a guy that was a freshman last year at Illinois, he played some good minutes, but he averaged about 8 points and a few rebounds. And then obviously everybody was talking about Yaxel Lenneborg, number one player in the portal. But I mean, then you got to put all those pieces together, like you said, right? I think this is the first, and obviously this will happen a lot more now in the transfer portal era, but first team to win a national championship with an all transfer starting 5. Right, like
Crazy.
Like that's something that in 2 years though, this guy was able to do that, and in 1 year essentially, because the only player on that starting 5 from last year's roster is Namari Burnett. And I mean, he barely played down the stretch in the final once we got to the tournament. So hell of a job. I mean, you talked about the way the game went. Stat right here in the tournament, teams are 1-50 all time when they score under 70, shoot under 40% from the field, shoot under 15% from three on 15 plus attempts, and get out rebounded. And the only team to win that game was Michigan last night. So, I mean, to talk about dominance, winning it, and however you got to win it, right? So
By any
crazy to
means
say, man.
necessary.
By any means necessary. I had some more net rating stats for you because I wanted to be annoying, but building off last week when I was giving you stats that you said, how do I, what do those even mean? But I don't need to do those today. Just incredible, man. As a fan, it's fantastic. I've seen the Michigan championship, Michigan football championship, Michigan basketball championship, Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl. I've lived a good life. That's not me saying I'm ready to go, but I've lived a good life. And that's really awesome. So we ready to run it back. They posted a picture last night. My coaches are still in the locker room in the portal, hitting that portal immediately, ready to build the next roster. I mean, he's got another crazy mob coming in next year in terms of freshmen. And then, I'm sure he'll retool. I'm a little worried about my guy going to the NBA, though. They're going to try to poach my boy. So I was hoping that when I woke up today, I saw that Dusty May agrees to a 10-year, $2 billion deal thing, but it has not happened. So I'm trying to figure out what we are waiting on. But nonetheless, man, super awesome. Had to put the bow on the college basketball season. Great to say it. I guess, look, man, I guess technically we both won, right? You had
No, we
UCLA.
didn't.
You
No,
had
we didn't.
UCLA. I'm giving you that. I'm giving you that. And then I was Michigan. And the only team that really had a chance to beat us in the tournament is who I told you was Duke. So I appreciate, everybody that followed us this season in the college basketball world. Next time I tell y'all when something's legit, I want y'all to start listening to me. I'm not just biased. These are facts. We're going to do it again. Trey McKinney will be back. Ellie Cadeau will be back. Heard rumblings that Marez Johnson might be back as well. They put him on the graphic for the Run It Back program for the tickets. So I'm going to say that he coming back. I think that's coming down the pipe. So,
Okay.
Man, this is awesome. Y'all can't talk to me for
Congratulations,
another
brother.
year. That's awesome.
Enjoy it.
I will, man. I will. But, moving along. We're looking ahead to next year already, right? We had some more other news. This other team out in the college basketball world tried to steal my team's thunder on the day of the championship. And a way out of left field hire, Mike Malone, former Denver Nugget championship winning coach. I mean, I feel like a year ago we were talking about, I wanted him on my Knicks coaching and everything. And now, out of left field, Mike Malone going to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, to be the next head coach. And did you see how much money they gave him?
I did not.
He's making I think they said a little over $8 million a year. He's now the second highest paid coach under, I believe it was Billy Donovan. No, not Billy Donovan. He's not even a damn coach. It might be Hurley. Either way, he's the second highest paid coach in college basketball now. So, and he's actually doing his press conference as we are speaking. So that's interesting. But what are your thoughts on that, man? How do you see that working out? Are you surprised at all? Do you think college basketball will be a good fit for him? I mean, how you feeling about this as a Duke fan as well, man?
I'm a little conflicted. I do think I didn't think he should have been fired by the Denver Nuggets. I do, think he's still a great NBA coach. College game's a little different. We'll see how he adjusts to that. But I mean, I feel like he's got a great mind for basketball. I know his daughter plays volleyball at UNC, I believe.
She does.
So yeah, it's interesting. I don't think it's the hire a lot of people expected or saw coming, but like I said, I think he's an elite coach. I think a lot of it will come down to now in college basketball. You're not just coaching; you got to recruit. Got to make sure you're bringing the right personnel in, the right young men in to be part of your program. So we'll see if he can handle that part of being UNC's coach. But I feel like on the court, I feel like he's I feel like he's going to do just fine. But will he be able to collect the recruits to be able to make a run and put UNC back on the map? It's one of the bluest of blue blood, so we'll see how it goes. But I think a solid move.
Yeah, it's clear UNC was they wanted a big name for this, right? They wanted to get out of the UNC pedigree, right? They got out of the UNC circle with it. They wanted to be a big name. They wanted to be Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan was trying to wait to the end of the season. But in the college basketball world, there's very, 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 very limited time, right? Like you said, like we talked about, the championship game ends, portal opens the next midnight, right? Like immediately. So you're at UNC, you're one of the, like you said, one of the bluest of the blue bloods there is in college basketball. If you go into transfer portal season and you don't have a head coach, you're in a lot of trouble. So they had to make a hire. Was there better options out there? That'll be seen. On court, like you said, the guy, he got some of the best sets in the country. I mean, I think he'll be right up there with, with the X's and O's, with the Dan Hurleys and all those guys. Dusty May as well. Gotta give my guy credit. He's gonna be in everything until next season, right? But it is unique because it is an adjustment from coaching the NBA to the college game. However, if there's any time for a coach to do that, is now. You talked about recruiting. The good news is in the NIL and transfer portal space, most teams have general managers. That's your job. Find me a roster. This is what I want. Make it work financially for the money. And I just got to build a good enough connection with them and coach them. That's what Mike Malone was doing as the head coach of the Denver Nuggets. Somebody else was going out, finding the talent, said, coach them. So that's all this is going to be. That's all this is going to be. And I think the championship pedigree will help. I think that, he's a guy that, oddly enough, Mike Malone, he was a former high school basketball coach out here in Maryland. My roommate Brill actually coaches at the same high school that he got his start at now. So, it's not that big, not too far gone. You said his daughter's over there at UNC playing volleyball. So I don't think it'll be, too bad. I mean, my only thing is, when you look at a coach like this, like Mike Malone, who was, I'm sure, he was the front runner for multiple jobs that are about to open in the NBA, right? I think I saw the Pelicans had him as their top. I think I saw the Magic were looking into him because they're probably gonna move on from their guy. Does UNC do enough to keep him there for long enough, right? Like if Mike Malone comes out and hits it off at UNC year one, what's stopping him from going back to the NBA and getting another job? Right. So I that kind of bothers me, right? I would have liked to see him go younger, a guy that can really build a program, with the program, because a lot of these blue bloods are going to have to step into a new era eventually, right? I don't think Hubert, whatever. I think Hubert wasn't the UNC pick, right? Like I think that was the Roy pick. And so they gave it to Roy for that purpose. But, nothing worst case scenario, you got a really, really, really good basketball coach. He's a great basketball coach.
Totally
the other stuff
that.
will play out, right? The other parts of that, and to further give them some credit for this, I mean, what have we seen? Like, these coaches that are winning are the best coaches, right? You think the Dan Hurleys, Dusty May, think about Todd Golden at Florida last year, right? Like, these coaches are legitimate, like, schematic X and O demons. Like, these people are great basketball coaches, and that stuff matters, more than just being a coach that can connect, more than just being a coach that can recruit. UNC's trying to win some games. And Hubert Davis, whether he would deserve to be fired is for people to make up. But, I mean, in his replacement, you getting a guy that's done it, right? And so expectations will be high. I'll be curious to see how well he recruits. I mean, they had a pretty good class, and a lot of those, I think all those guys are pretty much, weighing their options now. They got guys on the roster hitting the transfer portal. So it's going to be a completely brand new UNC, not a guy that's ever been there. So it'll be fun to see. So you nervous at all?
No.
Not at all? Yeah, you're not right. You shouldn't be. Y'all gotta get y'all get back. But yeah, man, that's gonna wrap it up for college basketball season, man. We're gonna put a bow on it. Fantastic year, fun year. I think this was the most my boy Nell actually watched college basketball in a long, long time. So
yeah, I ain't doing it again next year.
Nah, man. Well, yeah, next year's class won't be this class. We got to say goodbye to the young darling freshman class that we had. It's time for you guys to become pros. I mean, whew, it was a hell of a year for college basketball, man. Shout out to them. But moving on to our quick hitters, man, to wrap this episode up. I mean, Jesus Christ, talk about a string of bad luck, right? Los Angeles Lakers, you lose Luka Dončić, right, to what, the hamstring, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think it's a hamstring.
Yep.
And then what, the next day, boom, you get Austin Reaves too. So that leaves LeBron by himself. We saw what they did in their first game with just Bron. And I know you were talking crazy about it. And Bron brought the boys back as best as he could. But is this season over now? I know they said Luka and maybe Reaves are going overseas to get some special treatment. They're trying to come back before I think they wouldn't be back for another probably month at this point without it. But they're trying. But do you think is it over with?
Yeah, and we talked previously about what I thought about them 10 last. I didn't get out the first round unless a possible Houston matchup, and Houston's now moved up. I think they still could face Houston because I think they've dropped down to 4 now, and I think Houston's 5th. But that matchup is still up in the air. But yeah, it's pretty much done. It's runs. Love LeBron, but he's been doing it at age 41. He played great against Dallas, but there's only but so much you can put on his shoulders. I think back in, let's say, 6 to 8 years ago, when he used to take those Cleveland teams out of the East, he could be Superman and put a team on his shoulders, and you get him in a 7-game series, and you had to buckle up because good luck trying to stop LeBron. 4 out of 7 times. So, but it's just not the case anymore. There's just not enough pieces around him. With all that being said about Luka and AR defensively, still your 2 best offensive options. LeBron is LeBron. He's going to give you near triple-double production, but it's hard for him to sustain. I think in the playoffs it might be hard for him to sustain that level of play every game in a series, and if he can't bring it for you, I don't see any heroes in this game. I don't see a Marcus Smart game, a Jake LaRavia game, a DeAndre Ayton game. Like hey, he had. I don't know if he had the triple double or if he was close to it or had it. I mean, he's played pretty well. So he's good in his role, but that's not replacing the production of Luka and AR. So, excuse me. So, yeah, I just don't see anybody in the West that they can contend with and be able to hold off without Luka and AR. And them trying to rush those injuries back, I don't think they'll be the same. And like I said, I think it would have been a tough task for the Lakers to get out the first round anyway. And then those guys are hobbled and putting future seasons in jeopardy. I think unfortunately it's a shame because Luka was playing.
Out of his mind.
I mean, he was making some MVP. He was getting in the MVP chatter with the way he was playing. I think it would have been special to see him in the postseason since we haven't really seen it. I know, he played Minnesota the first round when they first were together, but that wasn't, still kind of a work in progress to see him under this full season with the Lakers, the way he was playing. It would have been nice to see him and LeBron James in the playoffs together. So that's unfortunate.
Definitely sucks. And, you think about it from a LeBron James standpoint, the king going out like this again. You won't be able to see him probably playing for a championship. Probably not again in the rest.
Very well could be his
career,
last year
right?
with the Lakers too.
Yeah, it is.
Unless he goes to Cleveland.
And then we'll
Golden State.
We'll wait on all of those things to occur. But yeah, definitely over with for them.
Or if you go down the street to the Clippers.
With Kawhi? We'll see. I think it's over with for him, man. It's tough. Him and Bronny out there together. Awesome moments, but I mean,
you saw it at H-Town.
Cooper Flag gave you what did he do? It was like he almost gave him a 40-point triple-double himself in that game.
45, 8, 9, something like that.
Yeah, they're not guarding nobody. Looking at these play-in teams, man. both conferences. You got any playing teams that have a chance to pull off an upset, you think? You just talked about the Clippers. That's on my list, especially considering the health in the West. We just talked about the Lakers, right? Wemby went down. Shout out to your team, hurting people again. Wemby's down. Not sure how long that's gonna be. I don't even think they came out with it. Did they say anything?
Not that I saw.
Yeah. So I mean, and then they got Kawhi Leonard, who I'm a big fan of. I actually, surprisingly, I've actually liked the him and Garland pairing thus far.
It's been solid.
Yeah,
Solid for sure.
It's been pretty good, and I think if they get in there and they match it with a hobbled Wemby in San Antonio, maybe they might get him one. Shoot, even OKC, they might get him one.
I don't know about that.
Might get him one.
I like Phoenix.
Your fan?
Phoenix is a sneaky team when healthy. They haven't really been healthy for much of this year. Book, Brooks, and Jalen Green all have been in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
But they've had some decent success against the Spurs. Even with Wemby in the lineup, they've probably had the best defense playing against Wemby all season. Probably his worst game this year. He was 4 for 14, had 6 turnovers. So they've shown the ability to try some things against Wemby that has worked. Like I said, he's kind of banged up right now, and I think over the course of his first 2 to 3 years, you're starting to see kind of some injuries pile up with him. Doesn't play big minutes. A guy at that size, you do kind of worry about injury. So hopefully he's back for the postseason and has no restrictions because they've had such a great year. But still a young team, some young guards, Castle playing great this year. Really made a nice leap, but still not the greatest premier shooter. We'll see how teams try to exploit that in the playoffs. So, I think Phoenix could be a sneaky team, but I don't think any top teams in either conference are really in any danger from those 7th or 8th seeds.
Right. I don't see. I mean, I know I was told not to speak on this team.
Don't. But if Charlotte does get to 8, Detroit should be terrified.
I was gonna say, regardless, whoever ends up at 8, if Cade, I think Cade's coming around, right? I think he's moved off of reports from just out to like the last game they had him as doubtful, then out. So that means he's probably, he's ramping up a little bit. And obviously for most people, the Detroit pick will be that'll be the hot pick just off of the strength of they'll get the same treatment that we kind of gave the Thunder last year. Like, oh, they're kind of young. Can they get it done? So I could see that. I could see any of those, but I'm actually, I like that.
Thunder were way better though.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. And I still think Detroit is.
I hope Pistons lose in the first round since Tobias Harris wants to.
Oh, he was talking crazy to y'all. Oh my God.
He's lucky I had a wedding. He's lucky I had a wedding to attend, so it's cool.
Ooh, wee. Okay.
He just better get out the first round. That's all I'm gonna say. His Instagram comments will be flooded.
I can't wait. That'd be funny. We talked a little about him just now, man. Cooper Flag. He heard the news that they started talking about him and Khan might get co-rookie of the year. Khan might have had the edge. And my boy just said, nah, you good. I'll give you a 50-point game and a 45-point game back-to-back. No hard feelings, right? Like, the season's over anyway. Give me the rock. I waited all this time for this. Let me show you what I've developed, right, over the course of this season as being the guy in Dallas. So do you think after, this last couple of weeks that he's actually starting to pull away now, or is it still Khan got a chance?
I was a couple weeks ago, I thought Khan should have been favorite for Rookie of the Year, but this last couple of weeks, Coop is he's really separated himself. Got to give him a ton of credit, and that's no slight to Khan Knippel's season. I think he's been consistent and great. He's already broken the Hornets franchise record for threes made in a season, not just by a rookie, but franchise history. Past Kemba Walker when he was in attendance at a game a few days ago. So he's having a fantastic year, and he's going to be a really good player for them for years and years. But I think Coop has just really shown you the star potential that he has with him. He looks like he's just going to be an S tier player in the NBA for decade plus. I think he was the youngest player to have back-to-back 45-point games. I think he passed Bron for like the most 40-point games as a teenager. Youngest player since Wilt to have like 96 points in 2 games. So like he's in elite company. He's already showing the physical tools that he has and his athleticism, and he's just so young. And for him to be able to kind of have the year that he's having, I think his averages are like 21, 6, and 5 or something like that. So, I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, the dude's probably going to be like a 28, 10, and 6 to 8 guy, for most of his career. So
Real soon.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know we clown Dallas for the Luka trade, but look, it wouldn't surprise me if Coop.
What did he say? He said time will tell. He said time will tell if I was right.
Time will tell, but it wouldn't surprise me if Coop ends up being the player that can get Dallas over the hump because of his two-way ability.
I'm with that. It's very Kawhi-esque to me in terms of his overall impact on the floor, especially at a young age. He was 19 years old. I mean, and the funny thing about it is, like, this season couldn't have played out more perfect for him as far as his career trajectory goes. I mean, no Kyrie. I mean, you had AD for an eighth
month
of the
or
season.
2. Yeah,
like an eighth of the season. He's out of there. Nobody else is there to really, steal the show from you, but you are playing around a team with, you got a good coach in Jason Kidd, right? You got pretty good vets around you. That's, they taking up for you. They letting you do your thing. You getting time with the ball in your hand, right? We were all over the man during the Cooper Flag point guard experiment early on when he didn't look comfortable, right? He didn't look ready. And we were like, oh, nah. Well, sure enough, it's all played out well. And here we are at the end of the season, and the guy looks like he's going on year 4 or 5, right? Like it's comfortable, it's easy. The way he moves on the floor, gets to his spots. I think he's learned how to select his spots a lot better. All things that happen throughout the course of your rookie year. So, I mean, I'm not mad at you, man. You saying that he might be the guy to get Dallas back to that, back to the promised land. And I mean, he really might, he really might. Speaking of the guy who's been to the promised land, man, another guy has resurfaced, Stephen Curry. We didn't talk about him in our list of playing teams that could pull off an upset. So I'm curious, with him back in the lineup, man, if they get past the play-in, or do you think they can get past the play-in now that Steph is back? And if so, anything else? Expecting anything else from him? I absolutely hate that Steph has become a play-in warrior. It kills me. It actually made me more mad when it was always him versus Bron to get into the playoffs, and I'm like, what are we doing? But how you feeling, man? Steph back, 29 points, looks comfy.
Look great. Yeah, it's great to have him back. Could have used him last 27 games for my fantasy squad, but glad to have him. Glad to see him back on the court balling. I don't know. It's gonna be tough for them to get out to play. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to just say, they got Steph, they'll get it done, because we've seen the Warriors drop some play-in games in the past. Sacramento, Memphis, so Lakers. So they can be beat in the play-in. Steph doesn't run that tournament, but Blazers have looked pretty good. They've won like 12 of their last.
Beat the Nuggets.
They won. No, they lost that game.
Weren't they up 20?
They lost. They lost in overtime. Yes, that's okay. But,
I went to sleep just knowing they lost. No way. I hate you, Jokic.
But they've still won like 11 of their past 18 games, so they've gotten over 500. Drew's playing great. Got a bunch of guys there, so that's going to be a tough game just to get out of that, and then you have to turn around and you're going to have to play the winner of Phoenix and the Clippers, and we just talked about those two teams possibly giving some teams in the Western fit. So they're the healthier team. So it's tough for me to pick the Warriors to win, but if anybody can get it done, obviously, Steph Curry, it's 101, one of the best point guards of all time. So he can get something done. It's not impossible, but it's not looking good.
Yeah.
Just too many injuries. Hasn't really had time with Kristaps. Yeah, just not. Go get LeBron next year.
I can't go.
And let's get back in contention.
I can't say that they can't get out the play-in and maybe make one series a little harder.
Don't say that.
They can make it a little harder, bro.
They can't make anything difficult against those top two teams.
29 and 26 minutes, man. That man still, like you said, he's a difference maker. And if Porzingis, who played
the only reason it was a game was because it was the Houston Rockets who.
And so that's
the worst closing team of any playoff team.
Yeah. That sucks. I'm looking at this roster. I'm looking at this box score from that game, and it's just like, yeah.
Not a lot of players you can depend on and trust.
Yeah.
And when you some playoff games.
Guy Santos taking 15 shots a game for you. And it was cool. They were really rejuvenated in that game. Like, the energy was great. They came out swinging. Steph got hot late. But damn. Gonna be too tough, man. It sucks seeing our GOATs fall from grace like this. But it's like we said last year around this time, man. It's time to usher in that new era. And, even you look at those teams, like you said, that Phoenix team, that's a young squad with 3 gunners. The Hornets, young squad with gunners. So, these playing teams, they got something to prove. But then you look at the Warriors, and it's like you are old as dust. And your young players are players that you picked because for years you were picking very late in the draft, and you were just taking chances. And now they got to play, and they ain't all that good. So, good luck to Steph and them. Nonetheless, hopefully we get some, magical performances out of them. It's good to see him healthy. He said the knee, it's a new normal. Or I'm not sure what that means, but, he said it. So, we'll see, man. The playoffs on the horizon, folks. The college basketball season is officially over. So
3-4 games
left. Yeah, it's here. It's all here. We're in the last 4 games of the season. Playing starts April 14th. So that's next week. So, we here. So next time we hop on here, we'll be talking about the play-in games and everything. So that's exciting, man. It's crazy to think basketball season as a whole is trying to slowly wind down on us. But, we got you covered regardless, man. So that's going to do it for this episode of 2 for 2. We appreciate each and every one of y'all, man. I appreciate all the love. We appreciate all the subscribers. We appreciate the comments, people that do comment, the people that do listen, the people that watch the videos, people that just hit us up about the pod, man. We appreciate y'all. It really means a lot. It keeps it going. We're going to be on here looking towards the end of the playoff series, man. You know where you can find us. It's at 2 for 2 Pod on all platforms, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all social media platforms as well, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You know what to do. With that, Keith Snell, 2 for 2. We out.